Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today, checking out some beer from KOMPAAN in the Netherlands, in Holland. A brewery that's pretty new to me. I've never heard of them before, but they were kind enough to shoot me an email and say, hey Peter, we're avid followers of the channel and would like your thoughts on a new series of beer we're doing called the Battle Royale series. And I was like, sure guys, you can send over some beer. And as always, I'm going to give you my 100% honest opinion. That's how it is. No matter who I get beer from, I always try to be honest. Even subscribers and whatnot. Like, I always say what I personally think, like, but I also try, especially more nowadays, to think of the bigger spectrum of things. For example, if it's a brown ale, is this actually a good brown ale? Or is it well made? Is there off flavors? All these things I talk about. And I always just try and be as honest as I can to you guys, both the people that send, but also the you guys who watch, because I don't like mommy blogging and people just like talking hype and good things about stuff they get sent for free. Like, just because you get stuff sent, you can still say your 100% honest opinion. And if you're a reviewer of things, that's, I think really important. But KOMPAAN sent over some samples of their newest Battle Royale beer. And it's basically a series where they play around with battling different types of IPAs. They do, like, you know, they do both West Coast IPAs, they do New England IPAs, they've done a rye IPA. So they play around with a lot of different styles. It's not just New England IPAs, it's just like IPAs and trying to use different types of hops and different types of combos and whatnot as a kind of a playground or battleground and see what stands out and whatnot. So that's the kind of the idea with the series as far as I could gather. And they sent the newest, as I said, over, which is number 5. So Battle Royale number 5 with a pretty cool artwork with, I think it's a alligator of sorts, there's a swordfish, it's all kinds of sea creatures, an octopus fighting, it looks like. So yeah, I really dig this kind of glossy label and everything. It looks fantastic. And it says here, knock yourself out. I think being 8.5%, if you drank a few of these, as they sent me a 4-pack, I would be knocked out. But this bad boy here has got so many hops. It's 8.5% alcohol, as I said, and it's got 63.7 IBUs. That's fairly high for New England IPA, so that means we're probably going to get some bitterness in this. I don't mind bitterness in IPAs and New England IPAs. I love bitter West Coast IPAs, but I always think, like in New England IPAs, sometimes, because there's more soft, volatile flavors, the bitterness can sometimes overshadow that. But it depends on how you do it and whatnot. But they got both regular pellet hops in here, they've got Spectrum, and they've got Incognito. And Incognito is a Whirlpool hop product from Bad Haag that you add directly to the Whirlpool to maximize flavor and yield of the beer, meaning you don't lose as much beer in the end. Because with pellets and whole leaf hops, they absorb liquid, and you just lose more liquid in the end. And the same is the deal with Spectrum, which is fairly new. I haven't heard too much about it. I think they only do, at the moment, at Bad Haag, Citra and Mosaic in this Spectrum concept, where it's also a liquid pure hop product, and it's 100% hops. It's not like weird extracts and whatnot. And I think it's pretty much working with the idea as cryo hops was as well, where it was a powder, but now it's also pellets, but just that you lose less hops or lick beer in the end. So what struck me as interesting though is that part of the hops they add in here are from another beer. They reused hops. I've never tried doing that myself, and I think there's a Danish brewery that did it. I think Ugly Dog did it because they did it like a crazy 50 grams per liter of hops IPA. But I think they said they used, let's see, from a beer called, let's see, Levensgenieter, which probably means a person who really enjoys life. We have the same saying in Danish, livsnyder. I don't know what you translate that to into English actually, but someone who really likes life and just like the good things in life. But it says they reuse the hop residues from their Levensgenieter in the Whirlpool. So when they did the Whirlpool with both the El Dorado Incognito and they used that, and then they used the leftover hops from another beer, which is, I never thought of doing that. I mean, I don't know what that does in terms of flavor, because there's a lot of the volatile flavors are probably extracted already. I don't know. I never really tried it, but it's something when I hear it, I was like, ooh, will that give harsh flavor? And that's something you don't look for in beers like this. But other than that, it's got a huge dry hop of Galaxy, and it's got dry hop of Cinco and Citra and Mosaic. And then it's got the Citra and Mosaic Spectrum as well. So they used a boatload of hops in this beer, and you can truly smell it from here. This is think it's like 9 days old. It was canned on the 29th of October. So, you know, loads of hops in this. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to try this one. It'll be fun, especially because, you know, the guys were really fun to chat to and whatnot, back and forth. And smelling it from a distance now already, it smells like up my alley. So we'll see when we check it out. Pours. Yeah, I mean, it's a classic New England IPA color. It looks much darker on camera, but I think it's because their glassware is filled with artwork. You know, the artwork is everywhere on this. So I think that helps make it look a little bit darker. But because when you hold it up to the light, it is like a bright yellow with a hue of orange. But, you know, it looks very nice. It looks like a New England IPA. White head on there. Let's check out the aroma. Yeah, really bright and hop saturated too. There, you can smell there's tons of hop in this, like hop. I want to say hop matter, but don't think like biting hop pellety aromas. But there's just like almost like a raw edge to it. Like sometimes in monkish you get that when they're really fresh, but this just smells a bit more like, you know, almost plant matter like just like when you smell a bag of fresh hops. But other than that, it's a huge mosaic bomb for me. Like, I'm getting loads of dank mosaic, that like blueberry cushy and sweet citrus. There's a hint of earthiness, and that could be Galaxy playing in, because they also use a lot of Galaxy, and that could also where some of that kind of almost like hop matter thing comes from, because I feel like that hop leads to a lot of that flavor. But it smells very damn tasty, so let's give it a taste. Cheers, and thanks to the guys at KOMPAAN for the beer. Initial thing, well, it actually drinks really nicely for 60 IBUs. Like, it doesn't feel as stringently bitter. That is really good, actually. It's, I don't know, I don't want to compare it exactly to monkish. It reminds me a little bit of it, but I think this is actually more bitter than a lot of monkish IPAs, even though they have that bitterness. But it's, for some reason, I feel like the bitterness is restrained. But one of the huge things for me in this, it's not crazy sweet. It's dry and it's pithy. I think also to some extent when the New England IPAs get really sweet, you really need some bitterness in there to just balance everything out, because otherwise it won't like dry out in the same way. It would be like just like this, oh, too sweet beer. And I feel like that's just the case with so many New England IPAs nowadays. Maybe the trend is starting to change a little bit because people are getting sick of it, and that's nice to see, because I think just in the long run it gets too cloying, and that doesn't happen when it's kind of like this. But I think this might be too bitter for some. And it's you know, I don't think it's crazy scraping bitterness, but I've also been drinking awesome West Coast IPAs that's around this, you know, IBU territory. It feels maybe a little bit softer if you think of that. But, you know, bitterness is different. Bitterness works very differently in how it's added to the beer. IBU is, you know, from a lot of people I know think it's a slightly outdated system of talking about bitterness in beer, because you get bitterness from different things, and bitterness is different. There's different types of bitterness. Like the bitterness you get from a huge dry hop is quite different than the hot side bitterness. But that is damn good. I think if I had to compare it to European brewers, for some reason it reminds me a lot of Amaboku style in Copenhagen, because a lot of their New England IPAs, they do have a juicy fruit profile and whatnot, but a few of them also have a substantial bitterness. Or maybe those kind of no-coast IPAs. Like, I really like that it has that pithy bitterness. It lends to also amplify a bit of the bright flavors, really, almost. Like, there's a lot of bright, zesty, like limey, citric flavor, and like slight dankness from both Mosaic and Citra, I think. And then, you know, Galaxy is definitely there, and even though it's a huge hunk of Galaxy in the dry hop, it's not like too earthy or spicy at all. It's kind of like a, you know, it's just a soft touch of that kind of overripe melon, but because the beer is so bright and dank and also quite bitter, you know, you don't sense too much of this like really overripe cantaloupe. Maybe it's more of a green melon, really, flavor in there. Pretty nice, soft mouthfeel, nice carbonation. Again, it finishes dry, which is perfect for me. Like, I love that. Dry, bitter, and pithy. But it's not resiny. It's not like really like earthy, leafy, like some people also associate with West Coast IPAs. It's just more easygoing in that sense. Yeah, this is really good. This is a great start to, you know, trying beer from these guys. And again, 100% honest opinion here. I just really like this one, but I think it's also just because there's some bitterness, there's a bit of dankness and whatnot. I like. It does have that kind of blueberry cushy vibe, a little bit, nothing crazy. And I think there's also definitely some tart tropical fruit vibes, but it's kind of like passion fruit and pineapple type things, or that custard apple I talk about, because it has that slight astringent bite to it, but by no means hot burn, no means. It's a great New England IPA. With a touch of West Coast flair. Like, I think if you should do a New England IPA with West Coast flair, this is how you should do it, because it's really good. You know, and big hop flavor more than anything, but also because they have a huge charge of dry hop, I guess. But yeah, this is really good. Like, it's not mind-blowing, but it does remind me of that kind of slightly West Coast approach, but it maybe not as expressive as Monkish, for example, or Electric. But again, European brewer, I'm just, for some reason, it just struck me, man, this reminds me of drinking Amma Baku's beers. Especially when I went to the tap room there with Rampart Lion James not too long ago, like a month or so ago. It just reminds me of the beers that was served there from them. That was New England in style. But yeah, really good. 93, I think, is a good grade for this. It still has, especially as it warms, it does definitely have some juiciness, but it's kind of like in Monkish and some of Fighton's beers and whatnot, even though I don't think it's as crazy flavorsome as those. It's a soft underlying, like, tropical kind of just juicy fruit profile, but it's not like gushing juice bomby, oversweet, overripe flavor that I'm getting a bit sick of, which is nice. So I think this is a great start to trying this series. If this is anything to judge by the others in this series, they're probably going to be pretty good. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. So if you guys had a chance to try KOMPAAN's Battle Royale series number 5, round number 5, a double IPA with Galaxy, Simcoe, Citra, Citra Spectrum, Mosaic Spectrum, and Eldorado Incognito hops, let me know what you thought of it. But as always, guys, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram, and ring the bell for future notification about videos. And I'm going to say cheers in some nice, bright, dank, slightly bitter New England IPA. And see you guys in another beer review.